Today I'm showing you how to sew the perfect zipper pouch using my free pattern linked in the description. This method uses a zipper tab for a clean professional finish, and I'll walk you through every step, including tips to avoid common mistakes. As you can see, there are two really cute little tabs on each side that are optional. The bag is fully lined and there is top stitching along the zipper at the top. You'll need a 1/4 meter for the main fabric. I'm using a corduroy fabric that has my textile design printed on it. I'll talk more about that in a minute. You'll need a 1/4 meter of lining fabric. I'm using a lightweight cotton fabric. And then you'll need some wadding. The one I'm using is quite soft. You'll need a plastic zip that's at least 20 centimeters. It can be longer. I'll show you how to shorten it to the right size. And then this is optional. You can add these cute tabs to the sides of the pouch. And there's no pattern piece for this, as I'm just using a pretty pink velvet ribbon. And I have created a free sewing pattern you can download. The link is in the description. I've already finished the pouch and I'm about to do some more quilting, so I'll show you what I did. You can use any type of wadding. Mine is very soft and I just bought it from the local craft store. I actually designed this fabric print so that I could just follow the grid of the design, which makes it much easier and faster to quilt. Since it's a small piece of fabric, I only put one pin in and I just gently hold the fabric while I'm stitching. My presser foot happens to be the width of the stripe, so that's super easy to line up. You can play around with the stitch length to see what you like the look of. I used a very small stitch for this, and I don't bother to backstitch since I will be cutting into the fabric in a minute. I used quite a light thread when I did the quilting for this pouch, so you can see how the thread color makes a big difference to the overall look of the pouch. I traced out the pattern pieces and cut out the fabric. I should mention that there is no need to quilt the zipper tab piece. The next step is to prepare the zipper. Mark 1.5 centimeters from each side along the top edge. Press the zipper tab in half lengthwise and fold in both edges to meet the center and press. Fold in half again and press. The zipper will be placed inside this fold, and then you will stitch along the outside edge to secure the zipper in place. Cut excess zipper tabs off. Now I'll show you how to shorten the zipper to the right length. Place the zipper on one of the markings and transfer the other marking onto the zipper. This is the length the zipper needs to be. Now unzip the zipper. Place your thumb on the zipper teeth where the marking is. Fold the zipper at that point to a right angle. As you can see that the folded edge runs parallel to the zipper teeth. Stitch along that folded edge as close to the edge as possible. These stitches will not be visible on the finished bag. Stitching is a little fiddly here, but it's worth doing Repeat on other side of zipper. Check that it lines up with the other side before stitching. Double check that the zipper opens and closes. The zipper is now the right length to stitch onto the fabric. Place the zip right side of the zipper to the right side of fabric between the markings. The first step to ensure a clean finish is to baste it in place. Stitch as close to the edge as possible so that these stitches are hidden in the seam allowance and not visible on the finished bag. I'm not using a zipper foot, therefore when I get to the zipper pull, I have to stop with the needle down, lift up the zipper foot, and slide the pull back out of the way before continuing to stitch. If for some reason you are unable to do this, then backstitch. Take the fabric off the machine and slide the zipper pull back before continuing to sew, making sure to backstitch. An example of this is coming up when I attach the lining. Now place the lining on top with right sides facing the zipper. Now you can stitch along the edge. I'm using a 1 centimeter seam allowance. Make sure the seam allowance does not stitch over the zipper teeth at any point. When you approach the zipper pull, stop with the needle in the down position, slide the zipper pull back. I had too much bulk with the fabric layers, so I had to take the fabric off the machine and slide the zipper pull back before continuing to sew. If you also have to do this, just make sure you backstitch. As you can see, my stitching line does not look perfectly straight. I'm going to go back and sew that part again. There's no need to remove those stitches. You can repeat this step as many times as you need to. Now open out the fabric and check that you have sewn the right sides and everything looks okay. Repeat the same steps on the other side. While I repeat the steps on this side, I'll tell you a bit about the fabric. This design was inspired by my cats Coco and Marshmallow. I added a grid to it because I love quilting, but don't love marking all the lines, so this saves time. It's available in my Spoonflower shop in different scales and fabric types. The fabric I'm using here was printed by a local EU supplier, just for convenience, since international shipping can take a while where I am. I also have loads of other designs in my Spoonflower shop, including a matching collection with pink and purple cats in super cute layouts. Check them out if you want to. Once you've finished installing the zipper, open out the fabric and check you are happy with how everything is sewn. I can see that one side of the zipper tape on this end is showing too much, so I'm going to go in and stitch that seam again. That looks better, but I'm going to do it again. You can do this step as many times as you need to. Okay, great, that looks good to me. Now press the fabric, making sure the iron does not touch the zipper teeth, as you don't want to accidentally melt the zipper. Top stitch the outer layer to the seam allowance. Do not stitch over the lining, so be sure to move the lining out of the way here. I line up the edge of my foot to the edge of the fabric. It doesn't really matter where you stitch, as long as you are catching the seam allowance underneath. Repeat on the other side. Now for the tabs, I am using a velvet ribbon. Fold the piece of ribbon and place on top of the bag. Each tab is approximately 5 centimeters. I folded each one in half and placed it about 2 centimeters down from the top of the bag. Baste the tabs in place as close to the edge as possible so that these stitches will not be visible on the finished bag. Match right side of outer layers together and place a pin on the edge of where the lining starts. This pin helps to keep everything in place, and inserting this pin here is actually a very important step for getting everything to line up nicely. Do the same on the other side. First, what I like to do is make a few stitches, stop, and double check everything lines up correctly. Do the same on the other side before continuing. Now stitch the sides, leaving an opening of a few centimeters on the lining. Before sewing, make sure the zipper is open. This step is crucial, otherwise your bag will be stuck inside out without any way of turning it right side out afterwards. Trim the threads. Open out seam allowance, match the edges and stitch. To get the seams to line up perfectly, place a pin going through the seam allowance. Repeat on other corners. When sewing the lining, instead of opening out the seam allowances, the way I did on the outer fabric, I just moved the seam allowances in opposite directions and then stitch. Now trim some of the bulk, but without overdoing it. You can now press the seam allowances before turning the bag right side out. However, this step is optional. Turn the bag right side out and gently poke out the corners. Turn seam allowances of lining opening in and stitch closed as close to the edge as possible. And now you can give your bag one final press, and your bag is finally finished. Thanks for watching. I've got lots more sewing tutorials on my channel you might enjoy. If you'd like to hear more about spoon flower or fabric printing, leave me a comment and I'll be happy to make a video about it. I've got more bag making tutorials coming soon, so let me know if there's a specific style you'd like to see.